The European identity can be understood as kind of awareness with its context.
What's unique about Europe is that there is such a great diversity within such a small area.
If we are Europeans, if we behave as Europeans, we automatically make European architecture, because our architecture is the reflection of our culture, of who we are and how we live.
When you look from outside at a family, you recognise features. Whilst they're not the same, they're of the same family. And I think that's what, from abroad, European architecture is like.
There is certain tradition, history, and continuity that you can read in European architecture.
It's clear that architecture never starts from scratch. In fact, architecture is an overlapped reality.
Reflect for the local condition, creates the architecture what we are doing in each places.
What can characterize European architecture is the relationship between architecture and the city.
I understand Europe more like a collage of different identities than one single identity.
So perhaps the word attitude is even more important than identity.
There is an identity of European architecture, but I think it's an open identity because Europe always dialogued, Europe always exchanged.
Identity is being born and developed. The schools, the teachers, the people in there, they help in building this set of attributes.
So there is, I think, an incredible sensitivity in Europe to deal with, let's say, the fabric in which you operate.
How European architecture is able to incorporate in his way of doing all this memory, tradition, diversity.
European architecture could afford to be more experimental, also because we have maybe less this commercial pressure.
Other nations look to Europe to see the roots of classical architecture, without necessarily that being the best inspiration for our modern challenges.
Each piece of architecture or each public space that is made is not only made for itself, but it's also made to make the city as a whole better.
Innovation, the deep innovation that actually can change, influence the life of their own citizens in a positive way.
The work that we're producing, which you could argue would be Danish architecture, is actually created by people from all over Europe working in Copenhagen.
We need to understand that the programmatic rethinking of buildings is something that is going on all the time in history. Architecture today is a bridge between the past and the future. It's something that relates to the historic heritage, but also provides a vision of where we want to live, how we want to live, and how this architecture where we live in should look like.
Architects in Europe see as carrying qualities or sensibilities or possibilities that point towards the future that we would like to live in.